I woke up that Wednesday morning to the most passive-aggressive group text I'd ever seen. "Hey everyone," it began. "So sorry to pop in unannounced, but a quick heads up, our bride, Olivia, has asked that anyone attending her wedding this Saturday wear elegant chic attire. Think black tie vibes, no exceptions. If you don't have a gown or a tux in your closet, you may want to bow out now, as she's decided she can't be accommodating for those who aren't her vision of classy. Thanks for understanding." I stared at the message, my heart pounding so hard I wondered if the group chat could pick up the tremor. Me, uninvited. But I'd been Olivia's maid of honor since kindergarten. We'd crowned each other fashion queens at summer sleepovers, scavenged Goodwill racks for vintage finds, even started a side gig making tassel earrings out of embroidery floss. And here she was, tossing me aside because my wardrobe didn't meet her newfound black tie standards. I tapped out a reply before I even thought, me, wow. Okay, I guess elegant chic requires a designer gown. I'll sit this one out, my thumbs hovered. No more. I couldn't let her get away with this, not after everything we'd been through. I hit send and tossed my phone onto the bed. 2 days earlier, I'd been bouncing down the hallway of our favorite vintage boutique, Cardinal and Clover, laughing with Olivia as we dragged the newest shipment of sequined wrap gowns onto the display rack. She'd zipped one on, spun in front of the mirror, and said, "This is it, Jules. This is my wedding dress vibe." I'd told her, "It looks incredible, Liv. You'll stun everyone." She giggled, tossing her honey blonde hair over her shoulder. "But we need the rest of the guest list to match. Think Audrey Hepburn meets Mad Men. Serious glamour. None of that boho garden party stuff." I'd nodded, heart swelling with excitement. Her fiancé, Carter, nicknamed the pair of us, the original Glamazons. We'd plotted a rooftop rehearsal dinner in tuxedo jackets with silk pajamas beneath, a rooftop champagne tower, and a bounce house cocktail hour for the younger cousins. It was to be the wedding of the year. Then came the dress fiasco. Olivia tried on a second gown, a black velvet mermaid cut that clung in all the right places, then scrunched up her nose. No, too dark. Needs more sheen. She tried a third, a blush pink taffeta ball gown from 1960, cap sleeves and a full skirt. "Vintage perfection," she murmured. "But the color, it clashes with Carter's ivory tuxedo jacket." That's when I muttered, "Maybe you should let the guys wear black tuxes, then it won't clash." Olivia froze mid-spin, arms akimbo. "No," she exhaled sharply. "You're not getting it, Jules. The entire aesthetic is planned. Every photo on Pinterest, black crepe dresses, white diamonds, glass slippers, champagne towers. It's black, white, gold, and sparkle. If you can't pull off that look, maybe you shouldn't be there to ruin the aesthetic." I laughed it off like a bad joke. "Come on, we're talking about my wedding too." But her eyes hardened. "It's my wedding vision, Jules. If you're not on board, don't show up. Simple as that." We'd said goodbye that afternoon in silence, the wraps of our gowns unceremoniously tossed to the floor. I gathered mine and left, head spinning. Now lying on my bed with the glow of the cruel text still flickering in my mind, I felt that old ache of rejection, but tempered by a surge of defiance. If Olivia wanted a chateau-perfect wedding straight from a high-end bridal magazine, she was going to have to enforce it herself. She wasn't going to get to freeze me out. Not quietly. I jumped up, grabbed my laptop, and Googled the name of her venue. The Montclair Estate, a sprawling white mansion turned event space 2 towns over. Just last year, it had been rated Best Wedding Venue by New England Bride. I clicked through their site, glimmering photos of flower-lined aisles, genteel fountains, a wrought iron balcony where vows could be whispered at sunset. Then I opened my phone's contacts and scrolled to a backup number. The Montclair Estate, main office. I took a deep breath and dialed. "Good afternoon, Montclair Estate. This is Laura," came the polite voice. "Hi, Laura," I said, putting on my most professional tone. "This is Julia Harper. I'm calling because I'm the maid of honor for a wedding scheduled at your venue this Saturday, under the name Olivia Hartman. I'm afraid I have a bit of a situation. The bride has informed me and several other key participants that if we don't adhere to an extremely restrictive dress code, we're not allowed on the property. Frankly, this feels discriminatory, and I'm considering alternative plans for a group of at least 20 people who are now frightened of causing a scene." There was a pause. Font of professional poise or startled surprise. I couldn't tell. "Miss Harper," Laura began carefully, "all of our events at the Montclair Estate have a dress policy, but nothing about banning people from the venue. I'm sorry you feel that way. Give me a moment." She clicked around. I could hear. Our events are contracted with blanket liability waivers, and we handle guest lists in advance, but we don't enforce individual dress codes at the door. And I've never heard of banning someone for not being classy, as your message says. She sighed. Or I imagine she did. Tell you what, I'm going to check your sister's contract. If she specified that her wedding party must wear designer black tie, that's one thing, but barring people altogether is beyond our scope. Give me a half hour and I'll call you back. My heart hammered as she hung up. I stared at the phone. I'd gone too far. Maybe. Right? No, she'd humiliated me wholesale. I deserved some justice. I set about drafting an email to my friends. Stand by, Montclair is reviewing. Then I did something I rarely do. I cracked a bottle of Prosecco. I'd been saving since my promotion. I poured 2 glasses and clinked one against the empty bedpost in a makeshift toast. 30 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Laura, the Montclair manager. Miss Harper, she began. I've reviewed the Hartmans' contract. It states that the entire guest list must be provided 48 hours in advance, and that while formal attire is requested, there is no clause that authorizes removal from the premises for non-compliance in attire. The wording is clear. I've spoken with the estate's director, and we've unanimously agreed if any vendor, caterer, DJ, or client attempts to bar your entry, we'll have them escorted off the property. Everyone on your guest list is welcome, regardless of whether they wear black tie, a tulle gown, or jeans and a leather jacket. Your family, your friends, they are all allowed. No exceptions. If the bride or her coordinator tries otherwise, they will be asked to leave. I felt my knees go weak. Laura, thank you. This means so much. Of course, weddings are about celebrating, not exclusion. Enjoy your evening. We look forward to hosting you Saturday. We hung up, and I sank onto the bed, drinking in every word. We'll have them escorted off the property. Not me, Olivia. The bride whose petty exclusion had weaponized her own event. I swirled my glass, eyes bright with a bittersweet triumph. That night, I gathered my allies, my college roommate Jack, who was the sound tech for the wedding, Marisol, my lived experience BFF, my younger cousin Renee, who'd already rented a formal gown, and even Carter's quirky cousin Trent, who'd flown in from Berlin. I led a late-night video call. Here's the plan, I said, leaning into the camera. Olivia wants us out. Montclair's taking our side. So we're going to show up Saturday in whatever we want. Jackets, jeans, graphic tees, vintage prom dresses. It won't matter. If she or her planner shows up in stilettos, thinking they can kick us out, we'll have them escorted out of the building. We win. They cheered, laughter rippling through the screen. Jack gave a virtual high five. I'll rig the DJ booth mic so I can announce, this is your cue to go. Marisol vowed to collect photographic evidence. Renee grinned, I'm going in my Aunt Linda's Y2K metallic club dress. Trent added he'd wear his leather bomber and carry a rose in his teeth. The party was on. At midnight I lay in bed, adrenaline slowly fading into exhaustion. The Prosecco buzz in my veins mingled with a flicker of doubt. Would I truly humiliate the bride at her own wedding? Was I being petty? But the memory of that text, the banishing she wielded like a weapon, reinforced my resolve. A wedding was meant to unite, not divide. If she chose to weaponize it, I'd make sure she faced the consequences. I fell asleep counting the hours until Saturday, a grin on my face that I hadn't felt in months. The next morning, I woke before dawn, adrenaline still thrumming through my veins. My phone's alarm buzzed insistently at 5:30 a.m., enough time to double-check my carefully orchestrated plan. I slid out of bed, stretched, and padded into the kitchen, where Marisol was already brewing coffee. Morning strategist, she whispered, sliding me a mug. Ready for glory, I grinned, accepting the steaming brew. Ready as I'll ever be. We went over the playbook one more time. Arrival, everyone converges at 1 p.m. Meet in the lobby of the Montclair estate, wearing whatever makes you feel fabulous. Entry, Laura, the venue manager, and her security team are pre-briefed. Any attempt by the bride or her planner, Charlotte, to prevent us physically entering triggers a call to security, and Olivia or Charlotte will be escorted off the property. Documentation. Jack, our designated event chronicler, will live stream the entrance hall and DJ booth cam, capturing any attempted exclusions. Celebration. Once inside, we blend into the crowd, wedding guests, caterers, staff, until Olivia realizes we're there en masse. Then we make an unforgettable entrance on the dance floor in our eclectic attire. We sipped our coffee, nerves and excitement building. If all goes well, this could go viral, Marisol whispered, raising her mug. Bride banned by venue after banishing maid of honor. I laughed. Let's keep it classy. No catcalling or TikTok taunts. I want it to be a night they'll never forget, not a mean nightmare. Marisol nodded, her eyes shining with conspiratorial glee. 1 p.m. rolled around, and I held my breath in the Montclair lobby. The chandeliers glowed, the marble floors gleamed, and the florist's white rose displays scented the air. Bridesmaids in black satin shards flitted past with bouquets of white peonies. Groomsmen in ivory tuxedo jackets smiled at them. I clutched Marisol's hand and scanned the entryway. One by one my crew arrived, Renee in a vintage metallic magenta club dress, red heels glinting beneath the dress's hem. Trent in his black leather bomber, sunglasses, and a single long-stem red rose tucked behind his ear. Jack in a crisp white shirt, suspenders, and skinny black tie, camera slung across his chest. Cousin Anna in a rainbow ombre ball gown she'd whipped up in one night. Office friends from my new company, in hoodies branded with my initials over formal skirts or crisp chinos, comfort meets couture. We smiled at the doorman who nodded, well briefed by Laura at lunch. One by one we stepped through the grand doors as though we belonged. Inside, a hush rippled through the crowd as each new arrival passed. The orchestra paused mid-tune, the DJ skipped a beat. Olivia, standing beneath an arch of ivory roses with Carter at her side, froze as our parade wound by. Charlotte, the wedding planner, white bolero over a black sheath, her clipboard like a shield, pivoted on stiletto heels. "Excuse me," she barked, voice echoing in the marble hall. "You're not on the list. This is a private event." She leveled her clipboard at us like a battering ram. Guests murmured. If Charlotte moved to block Renee, rose petals cascading from her palms, Laura's security ruddy-cheeked head appeared at the top of the grand staircase. "Ma'am," Laura's voice rang clear. "I'm afraid you're in violation of our contract, and attempting to exclude guests is grounds for removal." She nodded to a pair of uniformed security guards who stepped forward. "Please escort Miss Hartman and Miss Caldwell to the courtyard. This event will continue without interruption." The hall went dead silent. Olivia's eyes filled with furious tears, Charlotte's jaw clenched. The two of them were gently guided away. Olivia in disbelief, Charlotte protesting. Moments later, Laura returned to the lobby. "The bride has chosen to leave the premises," she announced. "The venue is back in control." Polite applause broke out from a stunned cluster of guests, family, friends, and even a few bridesmaids who'd whispered to one another about 2 extra expectations. I tugged at Jack's sleeve. He's streaming. Indeed, his phone was live, pointing at the now empty dais. He'd captured every gasp, every furrowed brow, every pivot of Charlotte's clipboard. Marisol and I exchanged delighted grins. The roar of murmurs blossomed into applause as we stepped forward. Someone from the champagne bar popped open a bottle, and the tinkle of flutes echoed off the crystal chandeliers. 2 p.m. The lobby had become an impromptu celebration. Guests, some black tie, some graphic tee chic, cheered our colorful procession as we led the party into the grand ballroom. The orchestra resumed, transitioning into a lively swing number. Carter stood on the dais, utterly shell-shocked, his ivory tuxedo staining ivory with sweat. When he saw us streaming in en masse, he hesitated, then gave a nervous clap. The rest of the crowd joined in, voices a bit shaky but welcoming. I caught Laura's eye, mouthed thank you, and she shot me a thumbs up. She'd stood her ground and upheld the venue's integrity. Trent hopped onto the dais with his rose, then dropped to one knee like a knight in a punk rock fairy tale. The crowd hooted. Then Renee started a conga line, weaving between satin dresses and leather jackets, and soon half the ballroom followed. Olivia, tears streaking her gilded makeup, retreated to the courtyard along with Charlotte. I felt a pang for the friendship lost, for the bride's hurt, but I also felt the sweet vindication of solidarity. My chosen family had shown up, and together we reclaimed the celebration. 4 p.m., the DJ no longer Charlotte's polished choice, but a friend of Jack's blasted an impromptu set of 80s synth pop and funk. Jack manned the soundboard, slipping in requests like September by Earth, Wind and Fire. We danced, laughed, juggled skewers of caprese salad, and sipped sparkling water and leftover champagne. Cousins pirouetted in evening gowns, while Hugo, Olivia's kid cousin, about 8, showcased break dance moves I'd never seen. At one point, Carter joined in, gray-eyed and unsteady at first, then laughing as he spun a bridesmaid around. I caught his eye, gave him a comforting nod. "This is your night, make it yours," I mouthed. He nodded back, gratitude shining. In a quieter corner, Laura slipped up next to me. "I won't lie," she said, voice low. "I've never had to evict a bride before. But this is what we do here, preserve the joy." I hugged her. I'll never forget this. 6 p.m. As the sun turned gold through the stained glass windows, I gathered everyone for a toast. I clambered onto a portable step stool, while Jack handed me a flute. "Thank you all," I began, voice steady over the hum of the crowd. "We came here today to celebrate love, unity, and new beginnings. And sometimes we're reminded who truly shows up for us." I gestured at my riot of friends, all attire styles, ages, and backgrounds. "Thank you for standing by me. Thank you to Laura and the Montclair team for honoring the venue's values." I raised my glass to found families, to chosen families, and to making every celebration truly ours. Cheers! Laughter rippled through the ballroom, and glasses rose in unison. For a moment, time seemed to slow. A perfect glass shard memory refracting joy. Later, as the stars came out, the swing band shifted into a slow ballad. I found myself on the dance floor with Carter, the very man who'd built this whole day. He looked calmer now, shadows of pain replaced by relief. He nodded to me. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I owe you one." I smiled. "No, you don't." Today was about more than my feud with a dress code. It was about what happens when people choose kindness over cruelty. He squeezed my hand, dipping me backward in a gentle dance move. "You've given me a lot to think about." As the music swirled around us, I realized this wedding, the one Olivia tried to dictate, had become something so much better, a testament to humanity, to standing up for one another, and to the power of a single phone call and a resolute crew. We didn't need formal attire to be classy. We needed courage, solidarity, and the willingness to do what's right. After the music died down, I found Olivia on the terrace, tears shining in the lamplight. I approached her gently. "Liv," I said softly. She turned, eyes red. "Jules, I'm so sorry." I sat beside her on the marble ledge. "I know you wanted a perfect day, but perfection isn't about control. It's about who you share it with." I paused. "I forgive you." She wiped her eyes. "Thank you." I lost sight of that. We hugged, two friends who'd weathered the storm and come out the other side. Midnight. As the last guests trickled out, we gathered for one final moment under the lantern-lit fountain. Laura raised a glass of cider. "Two weddings worth remembering," she said with a laugh. We cheered and toasted beneath the moonlight, joy ricocheting off the estate's columns. Then, one by one, we filed out into the night, hearts full. I walked to my car, still in my mixed attire of retro club dress, leather jacket, and a single rhinestone earring, and locked eyes with Laura one last time. "You did it," she said, voice warm. "You showed everyone what real class looks like." I nodded, tears welling, smiling wide. We did it. As I drove away, the Montclair estate receded behind me, a beacon of dignity and celebration. And I knew that no matter what life threw at me, I'd always have the courage to show up. Because sometimes, to keep a party truly memorable, you have to stand up, make one simple call, and let kindness lead the way.